On a bright spring afternoon in the lively city of Seattle, the streets hummed with energy. People moved about with purpose, their lives seemingly woven into the pulse of the city. Among the crowd, two strangers were heading unknowingly toward a fateful encounter that would change their lives forever. Ethan Clark, a 38-year-old architect, was driving his sleek silver car down a busy avenue. His mind was miles away, preoccupied with the details of a major project that had been consuming him for weeks. To outsiders, his life seemed perfect: a stunning home overlooking the water, a stellar career that had garnered awards, and a reputation as one of the most innovative minds in his field. Yet, beneath the surface, Ethan grappled with a void he couldn't quite define. A deep loneliness that even his successes couldn't fill. On the other side of town, Sophia Bennett hurried down the sidewalk, clutching her bag tightly. At 33, the dedicated music teacher was navigating one of the most difficult periods of her life. Her recent separation from her husband had left her emotionally drained. Even her love for teaching, which had always been her solace, felt overshadowed by the weight of her troubles. Their paths crossed in a moment of chaos. Ethan, distracted by his thoughts, ran a red light. Sophia, absorbed in her own turmoil, stepped onto the crosswalk without noticing the oncoming car. The screech of brakes filled the air as Ethan swerved to avoid her. His car collided with a lamppost, the impact echoing through the busy street. Sophia, frozen for a moment, snapped into action. She rushed toward the car, her heart racing. Little did she know, this act of courage was the beginning of a story that would intertwine their lives in ways neither could have imagined. Before we dive deeper into this incredible story, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Join us for more inspiring tales like this one. Who knows? You might just find a story that changes your perspective. The impact was horrific. Ethan's car was wedged against a lamppost, smoke billowing from the hood as onlookers began to gather. Sophia, still shaken by the near miss, forced herself to act. Her instincts overcame her fear as she rushed toward the car. "Sir, can you hear me?" she called, her voice shaking. Through the shattered windshield, she saw a man slumped over the steering wheel. Blood was running down his forehead, staining his shirt. He looked lifeless, but as she got closer, she noticed his chest rising and falling weakly. In a panic, Sophia pulled out her phone. "There's been a car accident," she told the dispatcher, her words jumbled together. "The driver is unconscious. Please call for help." Time seemed to drag on as Sophia leaned into the car, her heart pounding. She scanned the back seat and froze when her eyes landed on a child's backpack, printed with colorful rockets and stars. Her stomach clenched with fear. "Is there a child in the car?" she asked a passerby, her voice tight and trembling. Passersby shook their heads. "I don't think so," they replied uncertainly. Sophia's relief was short-lived. Reaching for Ethan's wallet, which was open on the passenger seat, she saw a photo of him smiling next to a boy no older than 7. The resemblance was unmistakable. It had to be his son. As the sirens tore through the air, paramedics arrived, cutting through the gathering crowd. Sophia stepped back, letting them tend to Ethan. A policeman approached, and she hastily handed him the wallet. "This man has a son," she said, pointing to the photo. "He's probably at home waiting for his son. Someone needs to notify his family." A few minutes later, a social worker arrived. "We've confirmed that his son is home alone," she informed Sophia. "There are no other relatives listed. His mother passed away years ago." Sophia's heart ached at the thought of the boy alone, waiting for a father who might not return soon. Memories of her own childhood, marked by loneliness, surged through her. "I can help," Sophia said, her voice firmer than she expected. "I'm a teacher. I understand how to care for children, and I can keep Lucas safe until his father recovers." The policeman looked at her skeptically. "That's a very generous offer, but it's not something we can easily agree to." "Please," Sophia insisted, her voice calm even though her hands were shaking. "I can't explain it, but I feel like I need to do this for the boy." After a long discussion and a thorough background check, the authorities finally agreed. Under the supervision of social services, Sophia was granted temporary guardianship of Lucas Clark. That evening, Sophia arrived at Ethan's spacious but cold and empty house. Lucas, clutching a teddy bear, stood in the doorway. His big blue eyes, puffy with tears, looked up at her warily. "Where's my dad?" he asked softly, his voice barely audible. Sophia knelt down to his level, her heart breaking. "Your dad's hurt, Lucas," she said softly, "but he's fine, and the doctors are taking good care of him. Until he's well, you're staying with me. We'll take care of him together, okay?" Lucas hesitated, squeezing the bear, before finally nodding. "Okay," he whispered. Sophia held out her hand, and after a moment, Lucas took it. Together, they walked toward her modest apartment, into an uncertain future that neither of them could foresee. That night, after tucking Lucas into the guest bed, Sophia sat by the window, staring out at the city lights. Her own life felt like chaos, but for the first time in months, she felt a glimmer of purpose. No matter how long it took, she vowed to give Lucas the care and stability he needed, and perhaps, in the process, find her own healing too. Sophia's modest apartment was a stark contrast to the sprawling luxury Lucas was accustomed to, but she did her best to make it feel warm and welcoming. The first night was the hardest. Lucas sat silently on the edge of the guest bed, clutching his stuffed bear tightly. His eyes brimmed with unshed tears as he stared at the unfamiliar room. "Do you want me to read you a story?" Sophia asked gently, kneeling beside him. Lucas shook his head without looking at her. "I just want my dad," he whispered. Sophia's heart ached, but she kept her voice steady. "I know, sweetheart, and he wants to be with you too. That's why we're going to take care of him together, remember? We'll visit him every day and tell him all about our day. It'll help him get better faster." Lucas nodded reluctantly, wiping his eyes. Sophia tucked him in, humming a soft melody that her mother used to sing to her. Though he didn't say much, she noticed his breathing slow as he drifted to sleep. The next few days were an emotional whirlwind. Lucas, overwhelmed by his father's absence, alternated between quiet moments of sadness and outbursts of frustration. Sophia found herself stretched thin, juggling her teaching job, daily hospital visits, and caring for Lucas. In the mornings, they stopped by the hospital before heading to school. Lucas would hold his father's hand, his small voice filling the silent room as he told Ethan about his day. Sophia watched from the corner, her heart a mix of tenderness and concern. Afternoons were spent helping Lucas with his homework. He resisted at first, frustrated and distracted, but Sophia's patience eventually won him over. "Why are you doing this?" Lucas asked one afternoon, looking up from his math workbook. Sophia set down her pencil, meeting his gaze. "Because I care about you and your dad," she said honestly. "When I saw your dad's accident, I knew I had to help. And when I met you, I couldn't imagine not being here for you." Lucas studied her for a moment before nodding thoughtfully. "I think my dad would like you," he said quietly. Sophia smiled, blinking back tears. "I hope so," she replied softly. As days turned into weeks, a bond began to form between them. Sophia introduced small traditions into their routine: pancake breakfasts on Sundays, nightly story time, and music sessions where she taught Lucas to play simple tunes on the piano. One evening, as they were reading together, Lucas climbed onto her lap and wrapped his arms around her neck. "Thank you for taking care of me, Miss Sophia," he whispered. Sophia hugged him tightly, her throat tightening with emotion. "You're very welcome, Lucas. You're such a brave boy, and I'm so proud of you." At the hospital, Ethan's condition showed small but encouraging signs of improvement. Doctors noted an increase in brain activity, especially during Lucas and Sophia's visits. The thought gave Sophia hope, fueling her determination to keep going despite the challenges. Though the road was far from easy, Sophia found herself transformed by the experience. For years, she had defined herself by her teaching and her now failed marriage. But caring for Lucas gave her a renewed sense of purpose. She didn't know what the future held, but for now, she was determined to face it with strength and love. It was a crisp, clear morning when Sophia and Lucas arrived at the hospital. The routine had become second nature. Lucas would clutch his drawing pad, ready to show his dad the pictures he had made, and Sophia would carry a book to read aloud. As they entered Ethan's room, something felt different. The soft hum of the machines was the same, but Ethan's expression had shifted. His eyelids fluttered and his fingers twitched faintly against the blanket. "Lucas," Sophia whispered, her voice trembling, "I think your dad is waking up." Lucas froze for a moment before rushing to Ethan's bedside. "Dad? Dad, can you hear me?" he said, his small hand gripping Ethan's tightly. Ethan's eyes slowly opened, unfocused at first, but gradually locking onto the boy beside him. "Lucas," he murmured, his voice hoarse and barely audible. Lucas's face lit up with a mixture of joy and relief. "Dad, you're awake." Tears streamed down his cheeks as he hugged his father tightly. Sophia stood back, her own eyes misty as she watched the emotional reunion. She wanted to give them their moment, but when Ethan's gaze shifted to her, she felt rooted in place. "Who are you?" Ethan asked weakly, his voice rasping. Sophia stepped forward hesitantly. "I'm Sophia Bennett. I've been taking care of Lucas while you were recovering." Ethan's brow furrowed, confusion flickering across his face. "Taking care of him? Why?" Lucas piped up, his voice earnest. "She's been really nice, Dad. She makes pancakes and helps me with my homework. She even taught me to play the piano a little." Sophia smiled softly, trying to keep her voice calm. "I was there when your accident happened. When I found out about Lucas, I couldn't leave him alone. I wanted to help." Ethan's expression softened as he looked at her. Though weak, there was a glimmer of gratitude in his eyes. "Thank you," he whispered. Over the next few days, Ethan's condition steadily improved. Though his body was weak, his mind began piecing together the missing fragments of the weeks he had lost. Every morning, Lucas would eagerly share stories about their time together, from their Sunday pancake breakfasts to their nightly music sessions. At first, Ethan was wary of Sophia. The idea of a stranger stepping into his life during such a vulnerable time left him feeling unsettled. But as he observed her kindness and the bond she had formed with Lucas, his gratitude deepened. One afternoon, as Sophia helped Lucas with a puzzle in the corner of the hospital room, Ethan cleared his throat. "Sophia," he began, his voice still raspy, but steadier than before. She looked up, her expression attentive. "Yes? I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done," he said, meeting her gaze. "Lucas means the world to me, and knowing he was in good hands while I was gone, it's more than I could have hoped for." Sophia smiled, her heart swelling. "It was my pleasure. Lucas is an incredible kid. And honestly, he's helped me as much as I've helped him." Ethan tilted his head slightly, curiosity flashing in his eyes. "What do you mean?" Sophia hesitated, then took a breath. "I've been through a lot recently. A separation, feeling lost in my own life. Taking care of Lucas gave me a sense of purpose again. It reminded me of what's important." Ethan nodded slowly, understanding dawning in his expression. "Sometimes it takes someone else to help us see things clearly," he said. From that moment on, their interactions became warmer, more natural. Ethan began to see Sophia not as a stranger, but as someone who had become an integral part of his and Lucas's lives. One evening, after Lucas had fallen asleep in a chair beside Ethan's bed, Ethan looked at Sophia with a thoughtful expression. "You've done so much for us," he said quietly. "When I'm discharged, I'd like you to keep being a part of Lucas's life, if you're willing." Sophia's heart skipped a beat. "I'd like that," she replied, her voice thick with emotion. Though the road ahead was uncertain, both Ethan and Sophia felt a sense of hope. Together, they were beginning to build something new, a family born not out of circumstance, but out of love and resilience. Weeks passed and Ethan's recovery continued to progress. With physical therapy and determination, he regained his strength. Though there were still challenges ahead, the worst was behind them. One sunny morning, Ethan finally returned home to a heartfelt surprise from Lucas and Sophia. Balloons swayed gently in the living room, Streamers crisscrossed the walls, and Lucas stood proudly with a handmade card in his hands that read, "Welcome home, Dad." Ethan knelt to Lucas's level, pulling him into a tight hug. "I missed you, champ," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I missed you too, Dad," Lucas replied, grinning. "Sophia and I have been practicing a song for you." Ethan glanced up at Sophia, who stood nearby, smiling warmly. "You have?" Sophia nodded. "Lucas insisted. He wanted to give you something special." They moved to the piano, where Lucas sat on the bench while Sophia joined him. Together, they played a simple but heartfelt tune that filled the house with warmth. As Ethan listened, he felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude, not just for his recovery, but for the people who had stood by him through it all. After the song ended, Lucas jumped off the bench and hugged both of them tightly. "Can Sophia stay with us forever, Dad?" Ethan glanced at Sophia, his heart pounding. Her cheeks flushed, but she didn't look away. "Well," Ethan said slowly, "that depends on Sophia. What do you think?" Sophia crouched down, brushing a stray curl from Lucas's forehead. "I'd like that very much," she said softly, glancing at Ethan. Their eyes met, and in that moment, unspoken feelings passed between them. Feelings of gratitude, admiration, and something deeper. Over time, their bond grew stronger. They spent weekends exploring the city, enjoying simple joys like picnics in the park and movie nights at home. Lucas thrived with both Ethan and Sophia in his life, his laughter filling the spaces that had once felt empty. One evening, as the three of them sat on the porch watching the sunset, Ethan reached for Sophia's hand. "You've brought so much light into our lives," he said quietly. "I don't think I can imagine this home without you." Sophia smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "You and Lucas have given me a family I never thought I'd have," she replied. "This feels like home to me too." As the sun dipped below the horizon, the three of them sat together, a family forged not by blood, but by love and resilience. The challenges they had faced had brought them closer, and the future, though uncertain, shone brightly with hope. For Ethan, Sophia, and Lucas, this was just the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with love, laughter, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Just like Sophia and Ethan found hope and built a family through courage and love, you too can find inspiration in our stories. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications to join us for more heartfelt tales about resilience, connection, and the power of second chances. Together, let's celebrate the beauty of life's unexpected journeys.